Hi, I'm Anna, YIMBY Denver leadership member.
And I'm Lee, YIMBY Denver Communications Committee member, and we're so excited to welcome you to the second episode of the YIMBY Denver Podcast, where we say yes to housing in our own backyards. Today, we are joined by our distinguished guest, Amy Kenreich. She's a resident of West Wash Park, as am I, and she's a very long-time community advocate. She is the past president of the West Wash Park Neighborhood Association, WWPNA, which you might remember from our previous episode. I love that little acronym. And she's also a past chair of the Mayor's Bicycle Advisory Committee. She risks her life almost every day as a neighborhood crossing guard, helping kids get to school safely. She's a member of the Bicycle Lobby and follows transportation projects in the city closely. Currently, she's working with her community on the Alameda Lane repurposing project fiasco, which you might also remember that I mentioned in our last episode as well, and which I think we'll get into later. And she's known for fun community events like bike rodeos and the citywide Celebrity Crossing Guard Day. Please welcome Amy Kenreich.
Yay.
Thanks, guys.
Amy, we're so happy to have you today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Today we wanted to talk about moms, money, and missing middle housing. We know housing scarcity has a disproportionate impact on moms, and that's why it's so important our policies allow missing middle homes in our neighborhood. But you might be asking, what is missing middle housing? I know you guys have there's many forms of missing middle housing. Typically the common ones we focus on are duplexes and quadplexes. They're actually really hard to build. So not only is it illegal, in 80% of Denver is that you are not allowed to build missing middle homes, but it's actually really difficult for it to pencil out for a developer. So often you will have a huge single family home or a very, very large apartment complex. And so these missing middle homes are so important, specifically for young families, specifically for people just getting into home ownership. And we're finding it's just missing, hence the term. So the reason this matters is when we allow missing middle housing, or what we also call gentle density, it's easier for cities to fund transit. It's easier for cities to create more safety measures. And more people equals more opportunities for better transit and added bikeways. So I actually, when we kind of started talking about this topic, was thinking about my own experience with living in a more dense neighborhood, driving my daughter on our bicycle different places. And surprisingly, I felt most safe in downtown Denver. Anytime I was riding with her, so I got this e-bike through the e-bike, what was it called?
The e-bike rebate?
The e-bike, yeah. They did a rebate program in Denver, and you were able to get a rebate on an e-bike. So with my large e-bike going through town, I feel so safe downtown because there's protected bike lanes everywhere. There are pedestrians everywhere, and so it's almost like the cars are outnumbered. Cars are driving naturally so much slower, and are much more cautious of bicyclists. And I actually never got yelled at whenever I was downtown on my bike. However, when I was in a more suburb area of Denver, District 5, for example, I would be in what was a bike lane, but no one knew it was a bike lane because there was only paint on the street. Mm-hmm. There was no actual indication.
It was a Shero situation.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had so many instances where people would roll down their window and scream at me, like, "You're going to kill your kid." Yes, it was. I've actually only ever got yelled at when my daughter's with me on my bike. I know.
Oh.
I know. Yeah.
I hate that because you can't catch up to them and yell at them
yes.
when your kid's on the back.
Yes.
When your kid's not on the back, sometimes I try that.
Yes.
But rarely do I catch them.
Yeah, and my daughter, she kind of knows I can get a little spicy.
A little heated.
Yeah, and she's like, "Mom, don't say anything." I'm like, "But that's not okay for them. They can't yell at us. I'm allowed to be here, and I'm also not the one being unsafe right now."
Right. But when you have your own lane, your own protected lane, you feel safer. Mm-hmm. The driver also feels safer.
Yes.
It's safer for everyone.
Yeah.
And everyone stays in their own lane. And then we all live happily ever after.
Exactly. And that's why when we have more dense neighborhoods, we can then better advocate for these more protected bike lanes. So that's what I've noticed is I see that in our more, like I said, suburb areas where it's just single family homes.
Could you define what District 5 is and what those suburban areas are? What
Yes,
neighborhoods would that fall
exactly.
under?
So when I say District 5, in Denver, that is actually like Crestmore Park, Hilltop. I know Wash Park's a different district.
7.
But, yeah, District 7. But specifically there, what we're seeing is large single-family homes everywhere. Not actually much pocket commercial areas either. It's just rows and rows of homes. And I need to get past those. So if you live in that area, you're trying to bike. Of course, you have to deal with this type of infrastructure, which is very lacking for bicyclists. And then as I experience, like, people are just so not used to even seeing bicyclists around that they're like, in that, those people who roll down their window feel very justified. Like, I'm in the right. That's why I'm yelling at you. So,
right.
So what about you, Lee? I know you, you are without car. What is that?
Congratulations.
Oh, yeah. Thanks so much.
What is that like? What's your experience been with mobility?
So this whole story is actually really funny. I mean, well, I guess it's not funny to begin with. Like, I had a car when I first moved to Denver in 2022. Cannot believe that it's been 4 years now. It's all flown by. But I got rid of my car, like, because of affordability, you know? Colorado is one of the most expensive states in the country to own a car. And at the time, like, I think it was I moved here in 2022. In 2023, I got rid of the car because I left my job in late 2023. So it was just like a lot happening at one time. So it kind of like, I kind of stumbled into being like someone who's known for taking transit everywhere. But I think over the past like 3 years now, I've gotten used to like, planning very far in advance whenever I need to get somewhere. I planned, you know, what time I was going to take the bus to get here earlier, like not even earlier today. I changed my mind earlier today. I did the original plan last night. You know, so you're used to thinking like at least 2 hours ahead, if not 12 to 24, whenever you need to get anywhere. You're very patient. You've got like multiple apps to check the bus schedules and like the on-time departures, or like, you know, sometimes the buses get canceled. You kind of get used to like, I feel like RTD is very safe. I take RTD everywhere, all times of day and night. Of course, sometimes you're going to have those people who make you feel a little bit unsafe. So you get used to like, I don't want to say looking over your shoulder, but just like being aware of your surroundings in a way that maybe you wouldn't be if you drove everywhere. So I just think it's like a different way to experience the city. Because even today I decided to leave an hour earlier and get coffee nearby. And I'm like on my feet, I'm walking, I'm taking the bus, I'm interacting with people, as opposed to like getting in my car like 20 minutes before I had to be here and driving, you know? So it's more difficult at times. It's more difficult most of the time, but I think that I know Denver so much better. And I have such a feel for the people in a way that I wouldn't if I were in a car all the time.
And how much time did you spend looking for parking today? 0.
That's true. I probably have saved years on my life looking for parking, sitting at gas stations, you know, getting my car serviced, maintained, stuff like that.
And you paid for your coffee.
That's true. I paid for my coffee instead of parking.
Right.
Or parking at my building, or insurance, or maintenance, or gas, or any of these expenses that pile up, which is why I got rid of it in the first place.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So what has your experience been? Because you've lived in other places in the United States. How would you say your experience has been in a more suburb-like environment versus a higher density area?
I love that question. I feel like I think about this even moving through different neighborhoods in Denver, like you were mentioning before, because today actually wasn't too difficult because I got from West Wash Park to 5 Points by just taking the 0. So I walked like 10-ish minutes to the 0, and then I walked like 10-ish minutes here. So it was not bad at all. But like, let's say I needed to get to like Aurora. I was in Aurora a couple times over the past couple weeks for doctor's appointments. I got 2 vaccines in both arms. Oh my goodness. And that's difficult because there's usually only one route that goes where you're going, and you usually have to transfer to get to that one route. And then like, let's say you miss the bus, there's nothing around except homes. So then you're basically standing in a random neighborhood for like 20 to 30 minutes. You can't just go and like get a coffee from like a pocket shop. And sometimes I try to plan my transfers. So like if I do miss my connection, there's like a place that I can sit comfortably as opposed to standing on the side of the street. It's just like not comfortable. It's not convenient to like be standing on the side of any road in any neighborhood for 20 to 30 minutes at a time.
And a lot of those roads out there are big roads.
Right?
So
they're
it's uncomfortable to sit there or stand there while cars are racing past you.
Like 40, 50 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Amy, we heard that you are very involved in the Denver Bike Lobby and WIPNA, your local RNO. I'd love to hear your story. So what I know about you is your crossing guard experience, but also that you are just a fierce mom on a bike. and you don't just talk the talk, you walk the walk. So I would just love to hear more about your experiences with bike safety, street safety, if you notice there's a difference in more dense neighborhoods, and what you think that implies for other moms out there.
Yeah, that's a lot of questions.
I know.
So my husband and I, we met in Washington, D.C., where I was going to art school. Of course, that's a much denser city than Denver. And when we lived there, we didn't have a car. So I rollerbladed and took the bus and took the metro there. And when we moved here, we intentionally chose a spot to live where we could bike or walk to the places that we needed to go. And we did that because we realized, living in DC, how many hours you get back out of your day if you can be on the bus and you don't have to pay attention to driving. Yeah. You can listen to a podcast, you can read a book, you can do your homework, you can make your grocery list. So we ended up living in Whittier, which is
pretty down the road.
Yeah, right down the road,
around the corner.
Pretty close to downtown. And if we went out drinking downtown after work, when in our mid to late 20s, we would just walk or bike home, and not have to worry about putting other people at risk by getting behind the wheel. We have 2 kids now. They're 16 and 12, and they have adapted to our car light lifestyle. We do have a car, and we drive sometimes, but we really try to avoid it, and our lives are better for it. Yeah. I got involved in my community because I realized that not everybody has the same options that I have living in a dense neighborhood in West Wash Park right now. And I thought it's an important thing to advocate for, because it's a quality of life issue and an affordability issue to have what I have. Yeah.
I remember you tweeted something a long time ago, and it made me feel really better about myself.
Okay, good. You said better. I thought you were going to say bad.
No, of course not. Bicyclists often get criticism for being bold, for being daring, for biking recklessly throughout town. And then I think you had said, if we're constantly creating systems that force you to be bold, you're going to have bold bicyclists. Yeah. And that's what made me think of that. I was like, people who are brave enough to bike are going to be typically a little bit, you have to be bold in order to be out there on a bicycle.
I think people misunderstand those of us who are out there in the street on bikes, though, because in reality, drivers and bicyclists break the law at the same rate.
I love that.
But when bicyclists do it, it's a safety issue,
right?
To get out of the way of traffic, for example. And now, of course, we have the safety stop law in Colorado, which is great, because sometimes bicyclists have been profiled and pulled over for blowing through a stop sign at 8 miles an hour.
What is that law you're talking about?
The safety stop law.
What is it?
Cyclists in Colorado now, as of 2022, I don't know, maybe a little bit later than that, but as of now in Colorado, cyclists do not have to come to they don't have to come to a complete stop at a 4-way stop. As long as they have the right of way, they can travel through the intersection at less than 10 miles an hour, I think.
Yeah, great. I actually, just remembering this story, there was when I lived on 9th in Colorado. So for those who are unaware, that's a really, it's a very dense area, but also Colorado Boulevard is a huge road, lots and lots of traffic. And I heard someone being I heard screaming out my door, and I just peeked out, and it was a woman on a bicycle being screamed at by a guy in a truck. It was just and he was so mad at her because she actually biked on Colorado. And he was like, you can't do that. You got to get out of the way. And she was in the far right. I wasn't there, but that's what the conversation led to, was that she was in the far right lane. She's like, I'm allowed to do that.
She is.
I'm allowed to do this. And I was only on there for a block. The thing about bike lanes is, or bike lanes, as we'd like to say. They're not convenient. Like, we would never ask a car driver to go out of their way, and we do that for bicyclists all the time.
Yeah.
And so her and I got in a conversation after he left, because I wanted to make sure she felt okay. And she's just like, yeah, I think it's because, and she pointed to her hair, her ponytail. She's like, if I hadn't had this ponytail, it would have been different, because my boyfriend does this all the time, and he never gets yelled at. And that's when I was like, yeah.
Oh, that is interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I, like, kind of talking to some of my other bicyclist friends with kids, I'm like, men, I was like, do you guys get yelled at when your kids are with you? Because I only get yelled at when my kid's with me. And it's, I think, this like idea of, like you were just saying, like, you're being unsafe by the person being on the bicycle,
right?
Versus this like huge murder machine.
Yeah, that sounds like victim blaming. Really, it's like after a crash happens, the police take down their notes and they ask what the bicyclist was wearing.
Right. Yeah.
Why don't you ask what color the car was?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Back into the Me Too movement, I'm seeing some similarities there.
Yeah.
So
before we move on, I just feel like that's such an interesting conversation about like how women occupy public space.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, I think our society is like constantly negotiating with how it wants women to occupy public space. And it's funny, I just wrote a bunch of stuff from my job for like, in advance for Women's Month in March, like talking about the history of women in business and like how, obviously that wasn't allowed for most of American history. And then in recent years, like a lot of the gains have been erased. Well, not erased, but like stalled at a certain point. And it was just so interesting to read about how uncommon it was for women to be in public at all without a husband or some sort of companion, like less than 100 years ago.
Yeah.
This is like kind of reminding me of that. And obviously it's not to that extent, but it's like still these unspoken rules. Like, as a woman, as a mother, this is how you're supposed to interact with the public space. And I think so much of the work that we're trying to do is just like expand those social freedoms along with the structural changes to make all of it work together better.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I mean, I think seeing kids in Denver is really rare. I know it because sometimes people tend to react positively to my kid, but also a lot of people don't know how to exist around children. I've noticed it's like so scary for them. They also don't know how to change their conversation a lot. Like they like being like, let's maybe not talk about your affairs last night and maybe try to clean up your language a little bit. But it's hard for people. I get it. But I was I was maybe 2 blocks away from her, and she was at home with a roommate of mine who was in charge of watching her, and she knew where I was, and she wanted to come say hi to me. And she walked over this 2 blocks. It wasn't even no major street. It was on a sidewalk.
And how old is she?
She was 6, so she was little, to be fair. And so then I got a call a couple hours later from CPS saying that I should never let her walk by herself. And I was like, well, first of all, it was 2 blocks, and it was from one trusted adult to the other. And then then a lot of fear was placed into me. You don't know that, like, there's huge amounts of such sex trafficking in this city. Like, you don't know if your daughter's going to get picked up and sex trafficked. And I was like, okay, but do kids walk to school? Like, the neighborhood school is 1 block further, and I know I see kids walking to school. And like, what is it? And it was a Saturday afternoon. It was like
broad daylight.
And I was like,
kids should be able to walk the same number of blocks as their grade. So first grader 1 block, second grader 2 blocks.
Oh, I see. So after that, I was just like, okay. I also have an immigrant mom who raised me, obviously very different than people around. And I remember that reminded me of a time when I walked to school and my dad and her got in a huge fight about how it was unsafe. And it was just it's just a culture. Like, your
it is.
kids,
in Japan, you can do that.
Yeah, exactly. So after that moment, I was like, okay, I can't let my kid, can't let her walk anywhere, because, like, first of all, I don't want her getting picked up. This was on 7th Avenue Parkway. And for those of you who don't know,
goodness.
This is like one of the safest neighborhoods.
That is a beautiful neighborhood. Are you kidding?
Like, yeah. And everyone, it was 2 homes, maybe 3 homes distance she walked. And so every single home knew who she was, who I was. Anyway,
Karen.
Yeah,
whoever called.
It wasn't even the person who called. It was CPS as well, to put like all that fear in me. And I was just like, oh my God, like I thought kids could do this, but I kind of forgot what the
Well, we were saying that cities are kind of hostile sometimes
yes.
to children, to women.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we
yes.
went down the route of talking about how children exist in cities and how we'd like to see more of that. People being more comfortable on transit, out in the streets.
One thing I like about sending my kids out there into the world to use transit or walk or bike somewhere by themselves is they really get to experience and interact with people that are not always within their social bubble.
Yeah.
And I love what that teaches them about the world, and I think it makes them more empathetic to people and more understanding about just how the world works.
I think that's a really important instinct.
Yeah.
I think we would just generally love to see more women involved, right? Be it your mom or not. Like if you ever have that feeling of maybe you don't feel safe on the bus, or you don't feel safe on a bicycle, on the streets, you don't feel safe in the city of Denver, which I hope that's not the case, but I understand a lot of people, there's been a lot of things going on in Denver. We do hope that you still get involved and see how you can make it a better place. Your voice is very important. We would love to see more women heard.
It's fun. Join us.
I think people have a lot more opinions on you as a mom, however you're walking through the world. And so if you're doing something slightly different, like taking a bus, riding a bike, which those shouldn't be different, but it somehow has become that, and people just tend to have a lot of opinions on it. What do you think?
Well, I do know that their research shows that fewer female students are allowed to walk or bike by themselves to school.
Mm-hmm.
When I first heard that statistic, I was floored because I tend to be a little bit overconfident, I guess. But I guess when it comes down to it, I'm not overconfident when it comes to my kids.
Mm-hmm.
I am the biggest helicopter parent of all time. Of all of my biking friends, parent friends, I am the last to allow my child to walk or bike by themselves to school or to their friend's house. I think it's because I follow the crashes that happen every day in our city. And I'm afraid for their safety, their physical safety out there. And it's because of how we built our cities.
Yes. So what could we do? What could Denver do, for example, to make it safer for families, for moms, for kids?
Well, top of my mind is definitely taking a 4-lane road and making it 3 lanes. 1 lane each direction with a turn lane down the center. That is called a
Gosh, that reminds you of someone. that reminds you of something really specific. Do you want to expand on that?
Yeah, that specifically is a road diet, and
Right.
it's one of the least expensive but highest return on safety investments that a city can make to make streets like Alameda Avenue much safer. Alameda Avenue is a high injury network street, and it's just breaking my heart that the city reneged on their road diet plans for that street.
Yeah, and for the audience, a high injury network street as defined by the Denver Department of Transportation Infrastructure, it's where the majority of, like, I think serious crashes or serious incidents happen in the city.
That's right, serious crashes and deaths.
And deaths. And this is like, high injury network is a very small network of streets, actually.
It's 5% of our roads.
5% of our roads.
Make up more than 50% of the serious crashes and deaths.
Exactly. And so Alameda Avenue is a part of this network, and we don't have to get into all the nitty-gritty, political
There's
aspects
so much
of
nitty-gritty.
But they're stepping back from this road diet plan that had so many benefits for the neighborhood, the real-world benefits that we're talking about right now that we've all experienced.
Yeah, it would have given a 5-foot pedestrian buffer.
Right.
And do we know what it's going to do now?
Yeah, 0.
Oh no.
Although the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure is working as hard as they can to figure out how much of a buffer they can squeeze into a 40-foot road with 4 10-foot lanes. So they're working on that. Good luck to them.
Not the best at math, but it doesn't seem.
We'll see how that turns out.
So when I think of what could make a city safer, I immediately go to housing. Transit advocacy, housing advocacy, same coin, different side. But when we can eliminate single family zoning, so as we said earlier, 80% of our city is illegal to include a duplex, a quadplex. We know that would help moms
live closer
to childcare, live closer to the school, afford to live, of course, in the city, make it easier for transportation advocates as well, because now I have more people living in the city to take the buses and things like that. So I would love to see City of Denver lose their single family regulation, so we can say yes to more homes in our backyard.
And building on that super quickly, I just read a study. Was it a study? I read something recently that was basically saying that women who live further away from work end up losing out on work opportunities because, of course, women have like a disproportionate share of child rearing and like domestic obligations on average. So the further away women live from work, like over time, especially as they start having children, their workforce participation decreases. So that's like another like huge benefit for women specifically, to have denser neighborhoods and more reliable transit, because then it allows mothers to have more of a career, more of a life. But like if people have to move far out into the suburbs to like be able to afford to have children, raise a family, everything like that, then the mother's participation in the workforce and in the world decreases quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, the further you live out too, the more likely it is that you need to have a vehicle to get where you need to go.
Right.
And the more people that are in their vehicles, the more congestion we have on our roads, the longer it takes everyone to get everywhere. So it's a little bit of a
snake eating its own tail.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. More homes equals more opportunity for high quality transit. Absolutely. Safer streets. All right, guys, I appreciate those thoughts. I'd love to see a more affordable, safer Denver. Let's transition to our trivia. So you guys have 1 minute to answer as many questions as you can. This is going to be our acronym edition.
Okay.
Ooh.
Okay.
Sometimes acronyms can
I love a good acronym.
And there's lots of acronyms in housing. Sorry. I don't want you to look at my note. I'm going to set a little timer here. So again, you have 1 minute. If you don't know an answer, pass it. And whoever gets the most points wins.
Love it.
Okay. So what does ADU stand for?
Okay, what?
Just
accessory dwelling unit.
Ooh, good. 1 point, Amy. Great job. You've already said this. What does DOTI stand for?
Oh, Department of Transportation Infrastructure.
Yes, great job. RTD.
Regional Transportation District.
2 for Amy. 2 for Lee. Last one. AMI.
Area median income.
Yes, very good, Lee. So to kind of recap that a little bit, that was way faster. We needed more acronyms.
That was great.
What does VPD mean?
I don't know. What does it mean?
I have no idea what that means.
VPD.
Vehicles per day.
Ooh.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure that VPD is a thing.
Okay.
Oh, our Alameda advocate here. I trust you.
What other do we know any other acronyms?
Any other transit-related acronyms?
Or housing? RNO.
Registered Neighborhood Organization.
Yes, organization. Well, let me tell you this little tidbit.
You're on it, Lee.
Before I came here, my daughter's like, "Where are you going, Mom?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to go record this podcast, and it's for YIMBY Denver." And she's like, "What is YIMBY?" And I said, like NIMBY, but yes. And because she knows what NIMBY means. And she thought for a second, and she's like, that should be YIMBY. And I said, why? And she's like, it's grammatically more correct to say in my backyard, not yes in my backyard. So
I think she's right about that.
Cute. Okay, we'll bring it to the...
We're changing our name effective immediately.
Right, maybe you can change the national organization.
The national movement, guys, it's YIMBY now.
YIMBY.
And we'll make sure to credit her.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Let's see, any other acronyms you can think of? Important for... So to kind of go over AMI, so AMI is often used in affordable housing calculations. So average main income, so it'll take, let's say, every city has a different calculation. So the average main income is how much most people earn.
Average median?
Thank you. Average median income. And so it will be, then when you are developing an affordable housing unit, you calculate that based off of this AMI. 80% being 80% of that median income. And so actually I think Denver's, how about this? What do you think Denver's average median income is?
Oh, I think it's like 70 something. Higher. It's like 80 something.
Higher.
It's 90 something.
Higher.
It's 110.
I think it just got to 100. 10, but it was 100,000. It was like a pretty even number. I'm gonna make sure I'm correct. Average median.
Is that including all of the billionaires?
That's the problem. Yes. So the more, yes, if you have very, very wealthy people living in your city, it skews the median income.
Right. What does it say?
I told you billionaires ruin everything.
Well, it only is showing me 2023. 2023 it was 93,000, but
no, but still, that's not too far off from what you were saying now.
No,
I wouldn't have thought it was anything above 85.
No, they just changed it. I know this because I lived in a affordable home and actually purchased an affordable home. So average median income absolutely impacted me. And I'm pretty sure it's right around 100,000.
Wow.
Come at me in the comments, guys, if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure.
Be sure to leave a comment and tell her she's wrong.
When we look at the different policies we've been talking about today, some of the core policies that would help moms the most would be moving childcare closer to homes, putting more jobs near transit, putting more homes in our neighborhoods, all of this helping safer street design, and ultimately allowing duplexes and fourplexes throughout the city. So if you are looking to get involved in YIMBY Denver and advocating for more homes in your backyard and advocating for safer streets, we invite you to join our newsletter. Joining our newsletter will get you connected with different events. We have often events that give you things to do to talk to electeds. We have events where we are connected better with other housing advocates. And I know Denver Bike Lobby has like your own newsletter as well.
Yeah,
I think
there's a Denver Bicycle Lobby newsletter. You can go to dbl.bike and sign up for that newsletter. And also, I would personally love it if everyone could go to tiny.cc/Alameda petition and sign the petition for a safer Alameda.
Please, as another West Wash Park resident, please go ahead and sign that petition. As someone who takes 3 across Alameda Avenue, who walks across Alameda Avenue almost every day to run my errands, it would make such a huge difference for safety, for comfort, for quality of life, for people that you may not expect.
And Amy, I think you told us it would be best for listeners to also email the mayor about this as well, right? Or
yeah, feel free to send as many emails as you would like to the mayor.
And why the mayor, not city council?
Because we have a strong mayor system. So city council technically is, they don't have any control over this, but the mayor absolutely has control over this. And I don't know how much longer Mayor Johnson can ignore Alameda.
And what is one of the, so I understand the mayor appoints.
The mayor appoints the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure Executive Director, Amy Ford. That is her boss.
Ah, I see. And this is who the main conversation between residents has been, is this head of Dottie.
Yes, and Amy Ford has been involved in the conversation, but so far just seems to reinforce why she made the decision to downgrade safety.
Mm-hmm.
And this just highlights the importance of being involved in your community, being informed. We do hope you are able to follow these different newsletters and understand what's going on in your community. And
as we wrap up, I think I just want to echo those sentiments. You know, as we usher in a new year, this will go out in February, so you guys may be out of New Year's mode. But I think as we move forward through this, you know, difficult national, political, even personal moment for a lot of people, it's important to keep up the hope. Don't isolate, and don't be afraid to go out and create the world that you want to see. It happens with us. It doesn't happen from the top down.
yeah. Amy, thank you so much for joining us. It's been nice hearing your opinions, like I said, of a fierce mom on a bike.
This has been so fun, you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, this is amazing.
Yes,
thank you so much, you guys.
Absolutely, guys. Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you next time.
Yay. Thank you for joining us for the YIMBY Denver Podcast, where we say yes to housing, yes to people, and yes to real stories. See you next time.
Yay.